Hi, I'm ZibadRahman,
Hey, I'm AliHamidaddin.
I'm JonGoldwyn.
and this is our ISOM201 project on Kickstarter and regression.
Alright.
So our mission statement is help bring creative projects to life. And it was launched in 2009 with 16 million members. 4 billion have been pledged. And we have 154,800 projects funded out of the 378,000 campaigns. So that puts us at 40.89% for the campaign money raised. And we have some retrieved data set from the Kaggle with predictive modeling platform and Kickstarter startups created from 2009 to 2018. Original data set used contains 378,000 records. So we came up with some business research questions, and these were them. So we ran into what types of startup projects raised the most money, what type of startup project raised the least amount of money, what types of projects reached their goal, and the best duration of campaign to launch a business. And we also came up with some hypotheses. And the projects that involve technology would raise the highest amount of money as opposed to the other types. Startups for photography will raise the least amount of money, and the average conversion rate will be around 60%. Also, film and video startup projects are more likely to reach their goals.
So this is for the cleaning the data, pre-processing. So predictive variables we use is USD pledged real, which is the amount of pledged by supporters, and US dollars, main category, which is the primary category of the startup project defined by Kickstarter. USD goal real is the funding goal for the startup project. So whenever you're starting a campaign, you're aiming at $5,000, saying, hey guys, if you can help me out with $5,000. And this is the variable that shows if they actually reached that $5,000 or not. And then you have the launched, which is the start date of the project, and then the deadline, which is the end date of the project. The response variables are the conversions, which is the field we campaign to determine whether they surpass their goal or not, whether it's like 50%, 100%, or 200%. That will be surpassing the goal. State, which is a field that specifies if the project is successful or not. So a state is equal to 0, that's failed. State equal to 1, that means it's a success. For understanding the data pre-process, John mentioned we have 378,000 records. We had to reduce it all the way to 40,000 of the results, and then we further reduced it to 15,000 records, so we can aim at the conversion rates to get a cleaner data and remove the outliers. We basically excluded ID, name, category, goal pledge, backers, country, and USD pledge. These are variables that exist on the original data set. And then we removed anything that's less than $1,000, and we removed any projects that made less than 500. So it's kind of redundant. So we basically moved out everything that's below those two amounts. So the first results that we got, that the number of startups launched in 2017 by type, the lowest number were in dance, journalism, and theater, and the most were in games, film, video, and technology. However, the conversion rate was counterintuitively the highest for comics, theater, and dance, which is one of the lowest. And then we have the lowest conversion rates were journalism, crafts, and technology. This is pretty interesting because we expected in our hypothesis that technology would be the highest amounts raised, but actually it has one of the lowest conversion rates. And we believe that's because of saturation of the market. There's way too many businesses in technology, and not all of them maybe deserve the kind of funding that the first two categories usually deserve, because those top 3 categories usually are targeted for a niche audience, and those audiences are more loyal to donating to that specific market. And we had amount raised average of startup type. The highest was in design, games and film video, with the highest of 7,500 on average pledge, and the lowest was in journalism, arts, and crafts. The lowest would be 1,700. The highest total amount raised was in design and technology. The design got $33 million only in 2017. And then with the bottom would be below $1 million. This is pretty interesting. And then this is one of the most useful charts that we had as a result. So we realized that May, September, October would be the best durations to launch a startup, and the worst would be January, December. It makes sense because that's holiday season and no one really wants to spend that money on that. And then we have the best duration of a campaign. We always recommend between 31 days and 45 days. This is the amount where you see the most scatter plots for successful conversion rates. And then beyond 45 days is less successful, and then below 31 or below 15 even, it's like the least likely where you hit your goal. This is a regression we used because it's a requirement, but we realized that the R-squared was at 20%, so it's actually a weak model. We just analyzed the pledges amount versus the number of backers, but you can see kind of a pattern with an L shape. Definitely be insightful. So this is secondary research. We looked up other people that worked on this project as well, and they did a performance of models, random forest, KNNs, and it's pretty interesting that they found that the biggest predictor of business for success is the goal set. So if you set your goal accurately to what you need to set it as, you would hit your goal most likely. And then the second useful predictor will be the city at 16%. And then the levels, which is the level of perks that you provide, and then the state, and then subcategory. And it's interesting that we noticed that the top 5 states that are really good for starting a campaign would be Vermont, Rhode Island, New York, Montana, and Massachusetts. That's all in order. And the bottom 5 would be Wyoming at 15%, and then Delaware, Florida, Hawaii, Nevada, and then Nevada would be at 38%. And then this is just an overview of startups. This is again just to show what we did. However, this specific research was analyzing 10 years of data as opposed to our research, which was focused on 2017 alone to get more accurate description. The average success rate you could see over here. The better ones were theater, comics, music, as we mentioned, and then the below ones were in tech, food, and fashion, which is similar to what we got. And then this is just extra data that we find that you may find useful looking back into this video. I'm not going to go over it too much because it's kind of redundant to what we did.
So why is all of this information useful for us? And initially what our project aimed to do was we aimed to look at a business, and we aimed to look at using regression to see if you were starting a business, or if you were starting a movement or technology, what have you, what field would be more successful to go in, what months would be more successful to go in, and what industry would be more successful to go in, and how much should you be asking for. We wanted to outline and create the perfect industry for you to go into if you choose to use the findings. Initially right here, as you can see, we found that there were a lot of unsuccessful industries for investment ventures, and there were a lot of funding for games, for technology, for design. However, currently that is becoming a more saturated market, whereas you have things such as, a lot of things such as film, music, fashion, books, all of these more artistic ventures, and you're seeing a rise in these, particularly because this is much more of a niche market, and you're seeing a lot more of unique, independent artists coming up, which, when you look at the top regions that are funding, you'll see that these are what these regions are looking for: more independent, more unique, more something that isn't going to be part of the same bandwagon every time. That's one of the reasons why you can see that unsuccessful a lot of the times are something that's a lot more generic, that was successful much before. Now we're seeing a lot more of a decline in these industries: games, film and theater, and a lot of inventions. And this just continues on with everything else.
These are examples of businesses that were successful in the past. So, yeah, so this is just extra data backup slides for having reference to data.
So what we can conclude for a company looking to create a startup right now is that if you're looking to start your business, you're most likely to succeed on Kickstarter, getting funding, getting backers, according to Kaggle as well. If you start your business in comics, in dance or theater, in artistic markets that are untapped currently, that don't have a lot of backing behind them, and particularly if you're starting in May, September, October, in those months right when school is starting back up for people, when the summer is just ending, there's not really a lot of expenditures for people coming out, so for vacations, presents, religious ceremonies, what have you. These months from May to October, ideally that's when you're going to be seeing a lot of investment from people. That's because it'll most likely be when they have a lot of free time, or it's when they're most likely to donate. However, if you start your business in something such as journalism, crafts, or technology, starting in the holiday months, so January, December, any of the wintertime months, anything where there might be big holidays, particularly in more rural areas, such as shown in our thing in Wyoming, Nevada, Delaware, as opposed to more urban metropolitan areas like Massachusetts, New York, Rhode Island, you're going to be seeing a lot less on your return. And to do this, we actually used a forecasting technique from our ISOM201 class of maximax, mini-min, and a random variable. And on that random variable, our final point was the least popular of the category. So what you might perceive now to be less popular, you're more likely to reach your goal in that, because as it's been shown, it's a much less saturated market. It's a much less niche market. There's a lot more potential for growth there. This has been our ISOM201 project. I'm ZibadRahman.
I'm AliHamidaddin.
And I'm JonGoldwyn.
We hope you enjoyed.
Thank you so much.